Hello and welcome back to me commenting on my. Oh God, yeah. Welcome. How are you doing? I'm doing okay. Um, yeah, I mean, like this whole process is pretty frustrating. I will tell you, I have taken measures to ensure. I say ensure. That's not a for sure, but ensure that this won't happen again by disabling Windows Update because that is the true culprit. They tell you there's the boss at the end of the game and then the secret boss, which is Windows Update, which is of course the villain of all traditional roguelikes. Um, but yeah, this is going to be a good run. I'm actually looking forward to seeing how I do here, and maybe I can learn a few things from watching my gameplay. I have been taking this game pretty seriously, in that I make sure I am doing positioning myself well. This isn't good. This is what I'm doing right here is not good. Okay, there we go. I figured it out. Well, you really gotta back up so that they don't get that hunker bonus or that cover bonus. It really does make a difference, and it's going to basically ensure every single time that you land your shots, and also they miss theirs because first of all, you can see in the bottom left corner there's a dodge bonus for moving, and I find it odd. I don't feel like I've really seen this before, but the fact that you gain an extra dodge bonus between rounds, meaning like as you're moving, is when you're receiving the best dodge bonus. I just remembered this run, the one we're currently seeing, actually does not go well. In fact, I think I die right here. Adrenaline. Oof. Oof. Yeah, and then I died. And then I realized I had a health kit on me. That wasn't a good run. I don't know why. I think I just gave up because I was like, oh, it's like literally 2 minutes into the game. Why start things off as rocky as they are? Sometimes I feel like doing that. Sometimes I don't. If it's literally any more than like 2 or 5 minutes, or if I beat the first floor, then I'm gonna start to take things more seriously, and not just give up like that, because I don't like giving up on something, because like for one thing, turning something around and making something work when you don't have it as much going for yourself is a lot more interesting to me, especially in these traditional roguelikes, than it is if you just have everything handed to you. If you have everything handed to you, I find it is kind of discouraging in a way, because it's like, well, I'm not actually winning the game because I just got lucky on the RNG. So here I'm trying to make use of the crowbar, which is genuinely fun. Like that zombie just explodes into giblets when you hit them with the crowbar. The crowbar has a bonus against zombie, or as they put it, against former humans, which I think is a really funny way of putting that. So I do try and make the crowbar work, but I realize pretty quickly that it's not always going to work, because if they have the ability to hit you or shoot at you, they will. So I take a bunch of damage here that I just, there's no real good reason for me to do so, and I give up on the crowbar. I'm sure there's a way to make melee work for you in this game, because obviously not every enemy is going to be a ranged unit. But I decided I would just fall back on my kind of into my safe zone. What is it called? My comfort zone. That's the term. And then just kind of like roll with like pistols and SMGs, which I really do like. Something I really like about Jupiter Hell, it's just occurred to me, honestly. One of the reasons I'm able to build well in Jupiter Hell is because they literally tell you, hey, this is a really good perk, but it requires you to have those other perks, which like straight up tells you those perks are good together. Those perks are really going to work together, and you need them together to get this really good one. It kind of takes a lot of the pressure off me to like try and like figure that out. And make no mistake, I mean, it is nice to try and figure those things out. It's also really nice not to have to figure those things out, because like, I'm like thinking about things like Tales of Maj'El and not Cogmine so much. Cogmine's pretty good about this actually, but like Caves of Cud, also not so much. A lot of traditional roguelikes will just kind of like leave the player to figure out what certain skills synergize with each other, what items and things are going to synergize together. And something I appreciate about Jupiter Hell is it's a bit more focused on the positioning and the tactics, and not as focused on, I should take like this skill and this skill because they're going to synergize, and then you just kind of like have to suss out what the builds are. And this game just straight up tells you there's the Army of Darkness build, there's the vampire build, and there's the survivor build. Those are just builds, and that's not to say you can't deviate. You totally can. The perks and skills, or traits I guess, in Jupiter Hell are pretty broad, and like you're probably gonna want Tough as Nails, for instance, because it's just gonna make you take less damage. You don't need to take things that synergize. You can just take skills because they are good. But I do really appreciate that Jupiter Hell takes that a little bit of the pressure off the player to try and figure out what a build looks like. And I'm really looking forward to like getting back to the game, because the run I'm on, it seriously is good. It's a really, really good run. And I am finally figuring out, and I say finally, I haven't honestly been playing Jupiter Hell that long, or even that much, but I am figuring out how to play it so that I don't constantly die. It's got to make Jupiter Hell's got to be one of the most approachable traditional roguelikes. It's not like easy. It doesn't go easy on the player, but it does make a lot of things accessible. And that's something I've always I've been talking a lot, I feel, about that, is I feel like traditional roguelikes could stand to be a bit more accessible. I remember talking to Jamie about how Tales of Maj'El could have been more accessible, in that it had like a build library that was like connected to a network, and players could submit builds, and those builds could get like uprated, so which ones are like doing well and which ones are popular, and then you could just select that build, and then the game would automatically pick perks and give you skills as you level up. And I mean, I know people are gonna, someone out there is going to say, it's like, well, yeah, but that kind of takes the fun out of it. It's like, yeah, but not every player finds enjoyment in figuring out how to build their character, because there's a lot of, in certain games, there's a lot of ways to do it wrong. And then you just end up stonewalled. You end up in a situation where it's like, well, I'm just not doing the damage I need to be doing, and I'm also taking way more damage than I should be taking, and I don't understand what I did wrong. And there's not really a way to figure out what you did wrong. There's nothing to really tell you, hey, this perk you bought is actually kind of worthless. It doesn't actually do anything. You were better off spending that skill point somewhere else. And I feel like that makes traditional roguelikes needlessly inaccessible to new players. I know traditional roguelikes are niche. I understand that. I just don't think that needs to be the case. I think that they could stand to undergo a little bit of modernization. And I know that that's maybe a spicy take, but hear me out. Just hear me out. I mean, besides the fact that Jupiter Hell has actually pretty decent graphics, has some mood and atmosphere, has really decent sound effects, has it has good music, has a fairly linear but interesting storyline, if albeit cliched. It does a lot for the player to ensure that they're having a good time despite the fact that they might be losing or dying. Like there's things to there's pretty accessible ways of figuring things out. Like when you look at a terminal, you're not inundated with like 50 things that you can do. There's about 5 things you can do, and it's pretty clear about how much of those things you can do. This isn't to downplay the importance of complexity. I think complexity is, of course, why I enjoy traditional roguelikes. So why I guess to cut a long argument short, I don't think the addition of accessibility undermines complexity. I think that you can have a game that is quite deep, but is still accessible. Is basically making sure that it communicates that complexity to the player very transparently. And this is something that I've been like really coming to terms with, and I say coming to terms with, learning about, is transparency of information is possibly, I would say, one of the most important things that a game can do. One of the most important ways it can be accessible to the player is very clearly communicating information. And that is something that Jupiter Hell actually does very, very well. It tells you, like when you're aiming at an enemy, it tells you exactly what your chances of hitting that enemy. It tells you how much damage you're going to do. It tells you what their health is. When you look at a weapon, or when you're standing over a weapon, you can compare very easily to that weapon with the one that you're currently using. The only thing I wish was a little bit better is when you're looking at a weapon that has mods, as far as I can tell, you can't figure, it won't tell you what those mods do unless you pick up that weapon. So even Jupiter Hell could stand, I think, to like better communicate that. There's still room on the screen. There's still room on the screen, so just tell me what those mods are. Don't make me pick up that weapon. And like when I say these things, this isn't me criticizing Jupiter Hell. It's not me complaining, because believe me when I say I understand the monumental amount of work that has gone into Jupiter Hell and gone into these games to make them interesting, to make them complex. But this is just something I've like been learning more and more, is like whenever I'm having a problem, not just with like a game, but like with an app, for instance, with a service, for instance, it's generally due to a lack of transparency when it comes to that communication. I can give you an example, and I mean, I know I'm not talking about the game anymore, but I'm you can see the game. I'll talk about it when it's important or significant. I just yesterday actually I got an email from a computer, like it's Canada Computers. They are like a tech and hardware site, and also like store, retail. Like they'll sell you parts to build a computer, or they'll sell you like they have a variety of like computer hardware basically. I get an email from them that says, "Hey, you have a certain amount of points on your account, and they're about to expire." And to which I ask why. I guess better than why. When are these points going to expire? They're going to expire tomorrow. How much points do I have? Well, you have $35 worth of points that you earned from building your last computer. I'm like, okay, $35 worth of points, and they're going to expire tomorrow. Like not next week, not a month from now. Like they're going to expire tomorrow, meaning you're kind of hoping that they do expire, is what that tells me. You're telling me this at the last second, basically, because you want them to expire. You do not want me to make use of these points. So, okay, that's step one, right? Step two is, okay, well, I guess I'll spend the points, right? So I go to the site and I pick something out that is covered by the reward system, because there's a lot of things that are not covered by the reward system. I pick out just like a micro SD. It's about $40, $50. It's even on sale, and it is covered by the reward system. Okay. Can't renew it. or sorry, can't redeem the points. Can't use the points towards the micro SD. Why not? I can't figure out. Nothing about the site tells me why. I looked through the reward points page a few times, and it is like quite a lot of information about how these points can be used, when they can be used, why they can be used. Which you might think, is that not transparency of information? I mean, if that's what you consider transparency of information, I guess I would consider that to be, in a way, not transparency. In fact, that's almost obfuscation, because no one wants to read 2 or 3 pages of how to make use of points. Instead, I'd like clear communication on like why can't I use these points. Like there is a difference. There's a difference between that transparency and making that information accessible, right? It's about accessibility. When I'm checking out, you say you have 3,500 points, but you can't use them. Why not? That's when I'm going to care the most about my points and trying to use them. So that's step 2. Can't use the points. I call support for Canada Computers and ask them, hey, I'm trying to use these points that are going to expire tomorrow. Can you tell me why I can't use them? They go to the 2 or 3 pages of information and look through it, and then let me know. Sorry, you can't actually use the points on the website. And I mean, this is a problem of accessibility, not so much of transparency of information, but like, why not? Why can't I use the points online? Oh yeah, I pick up this chain gun here, which is actually really decent. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Why in the world do you want me to come into the store downtown to spend these points exactly? Unless, of course, you really do want them to expire and you want instead for me to not come in and not make use of those points. So, step 3, can't use the points on the store, right? Step 4, I go into the store. Because I'm like, you know what? I got time. I really don't. I should be doing something like, for instance, re-recording Jupiter Hell, or doing commentary for Jupiter Hell. But you know what? I'm a pretty stubborn person when it comes to this kind of thing. I'm going to spend those points. How dare you assume that I'm not going to spend those points? So I come in and I pick out the micro SD card, which I reserved. And I asked them, I just like straight up asked this support person, like, I called the store itself. I'm like, do you have this card? They're like, does the site say I do? Yes, it does. But I'm asking you, because I don't trust the site. Yes, we have the product. Can I use the points on the product? Yes, you can. Is the product on sale? Yes, it says so on the site. Well, I don't know. Sometimes, like, I thought I could use the points on the site, but I can't. So make sure I have all of the information I need. And if you're exhausted at this point, listening to this, I want you to know, I guess I would like to maybe ask of you to empathize with my situation. Like, I found out that these points are going to expire. They're going to expire tomorrow. I can't spend the points on the site. I have to come in a pandemic to buy this SD card. Why? Right? So I do, and I come in and I pick out the SD card. And I check out. And they say, oh, you can't use all those points. You can only use $25 worth. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? I can't use all the points? You're going to make me have like $7 worth of points on my account? I'm not going to use those points. Those are going to expire tomorrow. They're like, well, they don't expire because you're buying something, so it renews the longevity, the lifespan of those points. I'm like, this is all you. This is all like the store. These are your points. These are your points to get me to buy more stuff, which I did. I bought a bunch of stuff at your store, and you rewarded me with points in theory, but I've had to jump through so many hoops and figure out so many things about how these points work that it is actually not worth it anymore. If you consider the amount of time it takes you to do something, if it takes longer than an hour, it's probably not worth it. That's my philosophy on these things. Anyway, that's the end of that episode. You know what? To be continued. If you're enjoying this series and my misadventures on how I spend my time, go ahead and hit the like button. Consider subscribing if you're new to my content, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.